Viewer discretion is advised.
Losers. The Raiders. You got screwed out of a deep playoff run over an obscure rule that doesn't even exist anymore. Barrett Robbins disappearing before the Super Bowl, and you drafted Purple Drank Russell with the #1 overall.
The immaculate reception happened against you. Your team has moved more than an active duty military family. You traded away your coach for draft picks, had him beat the living shit out of you in the Super Bowl, then didn't have a winning season until 2016 where your QB's leg exploded right before the playoffs. You hired Lane Kiffin, Hugh Jackson, and the coach you traded away. I'm not even at AB yet. The GOAT is still on your roster, and that brings us to good old Antonio Brown, a clown so large even Ronald McDonald is impressed. Frozen feet, helmets, fines, suspension, telling him he'll play week 1 while voiding his guarantees, and him asking for a release. You traded for an absolute nightmare, and that's not even the worst one that you're having. Yes, here is one of their official jerseys listed on their site, which is the same motif our beloved tank commanders wear. I see you can still order Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper jerseys, but I don't see your Gruden one though. But he's the highest paid member of the team. Spider 2Y banana. Shit. The house that Al Davis built. This stadium is the last dual-use venue in the league, and soon we will finally put an end to having teams trounce over second base during a pitch left. Ironically, it will be the A's who will remain in this park, which isn't exactly made for baseball, when the Raiders move to Las Vegas. I wonder if they will take the fighting only section with them. Since the fans took all the good crime-themed outfits in Oakland, we're left with our first truly what-the-freak mascot in the abomination that is Raider Rusher. Looking like he was built on the same frame as Mike Wazowski, the Raider Rusher is a mad ball that sprouted legs and now roams the sidelines, holding John Gruden's clipboard for the Tank Bowl and scaring small children. Does anyone else have the overwhelming urge to punch this thing?
The Oakland Raiders are the truest depiction of Al Davis's final days. A senile entity clinging on to the glory years yet failing to understand what made them great in their heyday. They will claim that such victories should be tasted over and over again, but a 15-year hiatus isn't a reference for such success. Yes, the 2016 vintage of such a squad boasted potential, a core that promised years of hope. Derek Carr, Amari Cooper, Khalil Mack. The future was so bright that Al Davis's corpse had to wear shades. A Super Bowl contender was their own to cherish. That was until Carr suffered a horrific injury. Then the Raiders fell apart as their backup QB suffered the same fate. It would only get worse for them, losing to Brock Osweiler in a playoff game. Such is the punishment expected when you're forced to start Connor Cook. It's a wonder why this man hasn't played an NFL down since this game. So perplexing indeed. This failure was a fluke though. The future is going to be full of the success of the previous year. They were a dark horse pick for the Super Bowl. It wouldn't take a Derek Carr injury to stop them from glory. It would only be themselves. Wouldn't you guess it, they did just that? Who knew that you needed things such as an offensive line and a defense that relied on more than Khalil Mack? Oakland struggled. And oh, they struggled mightily. An incredibly disappointing season where the only highlight was Mark Davis imitating his father by fucking over the city of Oakland. This time for good. Let's get one thing clear, the Raiders needed a new stadium. Their current situation is a goddamn mess with terrible infrastructure and sewage leaks. Regardless, the city wouldn't budge and give in to his demands for government funding. Because it's quite obvious that Alameda County doesn't have more pressing issues to deal with besides throwing money at a legacy owner. Not in the slightest. By the time the city all but caved, it was too late. To fully understand this situation, you have to take a look at the bowl cut brigand himself. At this moment in time, Mark Davis isn't exactly swimming swimming in cash. He has one of the lowest net worths of any NFL owner and is more infamous for his rather frugal and routine approach to living. Maybe he's just waiting for his skin to shed to reveal the glowing young boy that he truly is underneath. That time may come when the Raiders officially fuck off from California to Las Vegas, the Sin City, where the Raiders will most likely become just like every other production there, past their prime, full of gimmicks and losing any semblance of soul they may have had. The strings that were pulled to even get them to this point are astonishing. It took a few winks and nods from the NFL, Jerry Jones in particular, to help arrange logistics and funding of it. Clark County itself chose to play Cincinnati Simulator as they threw nearly every resource they had into building them a new stadium. Have fun failing to fund your education and social programs in 15 years. Even more interesting, Davis is indulging in the Vegas spirit by gambling everything on this move. In the chance it falls flat on its face, the owner of the Raiders would likely be the Bank of America. Davis took out a loan of $650 million to complete financing. Safe to say his assets aren't exactly secure at this point in time. If Davis spins the wheel on bankrupt, his consumption of PF Chang's will surely have to be curtailed. The son of the senile old man was caught in a dilemma. The team was struggling mightily and needed a shake-up. Jack Del Rio kicked to the curb. Despite having no real experience in this situation, their next head coach would be a man that would revive their legacy. Oh no. No. Don't even think about it. You've been trying your hardest to keep your paws out of football affairs, Mark. Don't cave in for the goddamn Old Glory. You fucking idiots. Couldn't we have just kept Gruden to fawn over quarterbacks and Spider 2Y Banana on Monday Night Football? To make matters worse, he all but opened the vault for him. A 10-year deal worth $100 million and a stake in ownership!
Oh, wait, you're serious? Jesus, let me laugh even harder.
When the hell is bringing an old face back to coach or manage ever work out for a team? Most of the time, these blow up and are complete disasters. Fuck's sake, Mark, you guys tried this exact damn thing a decade ago. Art Shell? You remember how well he did in his second stint? An inability to relate to players in 2 and 14, that's what. In fact, I fear that wasn't enough for you. Look at the team he assembled. His offensive coordinator is, yes, a retread. Oakland's O-coordinator in 2013 and 14, where they had one of the worst offenses in the NFL. We can at least reference his time with the Jaguars. Fucking hell. Even more pathetic, he brought back Tom Cable, the guy whose line schematics single-handedly destroyed many a player in Seattle. Ask Russell Wilson how he taught those linemen to have him run for his life every play. His D coordinator, a guy from the Bungles. I'm shaking at my goddamn boots at that one. I mean, this isn't a good look for the Raiders, but Gruden isn't going to fuck them up as badly as everyone expects. Right?
Are you talking about the analytics, the GPS, all the modern technology? Man, I'm trying to throw the game back to 1998.
The Raiders' record in 1998, 8-8. Truly inspiring.
Hey, Colt.
Coach Gruden.
Hey, congratulations, man. You want to be a Raider or not?
Hell yeah.
Hey, listen, man. We're fired up, man. We are really excited. We got a great young quarterback. I want you to take care of him. You understand?
Yes, sir.
We want to make a lot of promises, but we have one hell of a quarterback in Derek Carr.
How sloppy was that?
I know what they need. Martavis Bryant. Let's send a third-round pick to get him. Who's going to get suspended? He's cut. You mean he's not? Welcome back, buddy. Have a PCL tear.
The other thing I can promise you is our center and our 2 guards are as good as there is in football. And we're going to find a way to get Khalil Mack back, too.
Those guys aren't always 100% accurate. I talked to Mac when I got the job. I just haven't had a lot of talk with him lately. The Bears made us an offer that we thought was really unique.
Hey, look, beast mode! No beast mode. Fuck you, Oakland.
I get a lot of phone calls from people that are dying to come and play here. I'm just telling you, they're dying to play for the Raiders.
I'll say this, we're not tanking anything. You know, I hear the hatred out there, some of the rumors that we're tanking it to get a first-round pick or a higher pick. You know, we're not getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to tank it. Ain't nobody tanking it.
Not to say we told you so, Oakland, but yeah, we told you so. Once again, it's a situation where trying to live in the past blows up spectacularly. In what time warp do you have to be in to openly dismiss any sort of analytics? The information that it provides teams captures an approach that can't be analyzed through film. rejecting the tools to help your team be better. Next, we'll find out Gruden rejects the round earth theory because it's too convoluted for hard-nosed, old-fashioned football. How the hell do you feel if you're Reggie McKenzie? The team and core that you carefully sculpted over the years overtaken by a name brand intent on blowing everything to shit. You'll also most likely be out of a job at the end of the year. What a slap in the face. It's just like the Raiders making idiotic move over the past year in order to relive the glory days. The main example, trading Khalil Mack. On paper, Oakland accomplished their goals. They got themselves out of a nasty contract holdout, they freed up cap space for the future, they got the premium draft pick haul that they desired, yet they still fucked up royally. Allow me to explain. You don't need fancy analytics to tell you that Khalil Mack is a transcendent talent. He is a player that will single-handedly change the face, shape, and look of a defense by his mere presence on the field. Mack is a player in the prime of his career with at least 3 to 5 more years of elite level play with neither injury nor character concerns. The draft picks received from the Bears are nice, but they are a team on the upswing with playoff aspirations. These picks will be, at best, in the mid-teens. For reference, Khalil Mack was a 4th overall pick. The chances of you finding players that come anywhere close to Mack's abilities are slim to none. Even with a rebuild, Mack would still be a core contributor for the Raiders in future playoff runs. With this information in hand, the conclusion is simple. You do not trade Khalil Mack! He is a player that offers much more value to a team than the market commands. In fact, I dare say the Raiders undersold him. Especially now that the Bears are pushing for a division title. Mack, unsurprisingly, has been the cornerstone of arguably the best front seven in all of football. His performance has him in the running for Defensive Player of the Year, as Chicago now aspires for more than playoffs. The trade is looking worse and worse by the day at this point. Although this has been baffling, I think we can theorize why they shipped him off in the middle of a holdout. If you remember from earlier, Mark Davis doesn't exactly have a lot of fluid financial capital currently. His money's locked up in the impending move to Las Vegas, so available funds for team operations are rather limited. Therefore, you can safely assume that the Raiders couldn't afford to give Mack a pay raise, and thus, Mark blew his load on John Gruden. Well played. You thought this was it? Oh no, the chaos has just begun. There's the quandary of Derek Carr. A man whom was once thought of as one of the top future QBs in the league is getting a hatchet job done to him. The Raiders are ruining Derek. He gets to experience what Russell Wilson did behind a Tom Cable run line. Only difference is that Carr doesn't have anywhere near the elusiveness of Wilson. He gets to be fucking mauled by a bunch of civs, throwing to a bunch of injury-prone old guys who may or may not be civs while being chucked off the Golden Gate Bridge by Chucky. There may or may not be arguments with him on the sidelines. Don't worry, even with that extension, you'll probably be free from this hellhole soon enough. Just like Amari Cooper? Why the hell are you trading him? He's the kind of guy you need in this new NFL. There's no way a team's going to part with a first for him. The Cowboys paid that much? Well, I'll be damned. Now watch them win the division and mess this up too. This organization is a fucking mess. Again. Mark has spent the past half-decade trying to emulate his father in order to make him proud. Little does he know he chose his later years, where he was a senile old man getting a stiffy from a fast 40-timer throwing 60 yards on one knee. Now they get the added bonus of possibly being a vagrant before the new palace in Vegas is complete. Their lease is ending and the Raiders have nowhere to go as of this time. It's fitting of them, lost in a desert of sewage leaks and house fires. A team that was thought of as a potential Super Bowl contender 18 months ago is now kicking and screaming their way deep into a tank. You've been had, Raiders fans. The wool has been pulled over your eyes as you're silently led to the slaughter. And remember, you can't complain about anything. You're not a real fan unless you accept and praise everything this organization does. To think a fan base capable of violence and intimidation made completely docile as the Raiders take the piss nearly every goddamn year. I know there will be people who argue for this team's blow up, and they have points. The Raiders have a lot of cap space. They'll have 5 first-round picks in the next 2 years. It's possible they can do some damage, especially with Gruden at the helm. Look at how he praised future studs like Johnny Football, Connor Cook, Brandon Whedon, Paxton Lynch, Nathan Peterman, Christian Hackenberg. Oh shit, this guy can't assess talent worth a damn. Even if he hits on a pick or two, how are they going to succeed? There is no evidence that Gruden can relate to the modern player. He's just going to treat them like the core they're replacing. Nobody has benefited from this move besides Gruden's wallet. Hell, Monday Night Football is somehow worse off. We are now stuck with former Dallas Cowboy number 12 and a dude on a glorified motor scooter for an awful broadcast. Even more ironic is what the Raiders are morphing into. Al Davis lost his touch in the later years, but the man was a renegade, a maverick who marched to the beat of his own drum and didn't give a fuck about what you thought. He built the Raider brand on rebellion, on resisting the status quo. With Mark's impending move to Vegas, the Raiders will become the antithesis of Al's vision. A soulless corporate entity chained to the whims and commands of the NFL. A sideshow, a gimmick, a mockery of what they were. They will become P.F. Chang's. The autumn fart is a Raider, alright. A Raider dispersing into the wind like every player worth a damn on their team. Now that we have that out of the way, welcome to How to Destroy a Career 101. Today's subject is Martavis Bryant. Once a man who had the world at his oyster and the potential to make millions of dollars to catch a football. Nowadays, the only thing he may be catching are papers to file for unemployment. Let's begin with his story fresh out of Clemson, coming off a career year for the Tigers and projected to be a mid-round pick. A very raw specimen, but if molded properly, Martavis could become one of the brightest stars in this league. Bryant is selected by the Pittsburgh Steelers, a team of excellence and a reputation for developing wide receivers in the middle rounds. Such a perfect match. Martavis immediately makes a splash in the Steel City by being the impact deep threat that the organization needed. The promise that he shows after being unlocked halfway through the season is apparent. Look at how he burns through these secondaries like a wick through candle wax. Time can only make him stronger.
Smoke weed every day.
And then comes his major weakness in the drugs. You see, Martavis had a penchant for enjoying the wonders of cannabis, a drug that is disallowed by the NFL. Not that I'm against a dance or two with Mary Jane, they are still the rules. Fortunately, only his first strike, a 4-game suspension. Everyone makes mistakes, we can let this one slide. Bryant once again flashes his supreme potential as a legitimate wideout in his sophomore season. Even with being a marquee deep threat, the hopes of him developing a short-range game would make him into one of the deadliest receivers in all the land. With the mistakes of the past behind him, of course.
Smoke weed every day.
Alas, he has fooled us twice. This time it robs him of a full season of play and creates a most unpleasant reputation. Martavis can't stay on the field due to his own actions. Even with him coming back the next year, it was obvious that Bryant just wasn't the same. He was failing to develop any other aspects of his receiving game. In fact, he may have regressed from his earlier promise. In this situation, you may look to find answers from within, but Bryant chooses to go on the offensive and bite the hand that feeds. May he demand a trade due to his inability to thrive in the Steelers' offense. Scratch that he's talked with Tomlin and he's cool. For about a week. Bryant immediately criticizes the new kid on the block in Juju Smith-Schuster. He was stealing the spotlight. He took what rightfully belonged to him. He even had a social media presence, the nerve of such a young man. The trade demands were back on. He wants to be the guy despite a massively disappointing season. Our prodigal son eventually gets his wish by being traded to the Oakland Raiders for a 3rd-round pick that offseason. They still see potential in Bryant, a great foil for Amari Cooper. Think of the possibilities.
Smoke weed every day.
This is when the Raiders fear he failed a 3rd drug test. At a lackluster camp and a looming suspension, and Martavis is suddenly out of the league entirely. And then brought back in as he's apparently not getting suspended anymore. Only then the football gods deliver a far more painful punishment than suspensions. Ineffectiveness and injury. A PCL tear ended his season prematurely, with any future career in serious jeopardy.
Smoke weed every day.
Probably got high of whatever was left of it anyway. Another indefinite suspension. For Martavis, there may never be another chance left to roll secondaries into a blunt. This is a truly wasted talent. He strayed away from striding on the grass to being content with merely smoking it. As such, his career and the potential millions he could have earned if he stayed clean are also up in smoke. May we lament such a self-imposed tragedy. I expect the 3-page paper on this topic completed for tomorrow. Class dismissed.
First off, we need to get rid of this helmet and give this man a proper haircut. And let's lift off the eye patch and reveal, oh my god, it's Darius Haywood Bay's 40-time tattooed in the eye socket. Oh, and what's this in the background? Why, it's the ghost of Khalil Mack. Raiders fan, you are hella salty. The Crypt Keeper moved your squad away, then brought them back, and now bad haircut Slimer is moving the team away to Vegas again after trading your best player and gutting the squad like a Chip and Joanna Gaines project in Waco, Texas. Your highest paid asset is your coach, but you still have a lot of history and pride, so I'd say the black hole is more known for venom than salt.